In this lesson, we'll cover work sharing history and how to restore a backup if you have a corrupt file. So first of all, let's look at the history of our synchronizations. Let's open our work sharing user file. So let's go to the Open menu, browse to where you stored the files to this lesson, C Drive, Learning Revit Structure 2015, and then Chapter 16. Select the Central File 1601 username, that's the user file, and click Open. Now, once the file opens, we want to look at the history of synchronization. So let's go to the Collaborate tab. On the Collaborate tab, click Show History. Revit is then going to ask you what file you want to look at the history of. Well, you could look at the central file itself, or you could look at your user file. Well, I'm going to look at the username file. So I'm going to select it, click Open. Here is all the history of this file. So I can see every time I synchronized and every time you synchronized. Also, this file has been used in previous versions, and you can see dating way back in 2008 that this file was actually created before and synchronized. So it's keeping track in history of all of the actual previous attempts being synchronized within this actual layout. Click Close. Now, let's say you have a corrupt file and you want to restore from a backup, because for every file you create, there's a backup folder created. And to illustrate this, if I browse to where our files are stored in Chapter 16, this is the username file, and I see I have a backup folder. This is the central file itself, the master file, and it has a backup folder. And the backup folders contain files. This is all the content that's backed up that you can restore from. So how do we go about restoring if we have a corrupt file? Well, the first thing is you need to close everything you're working on. So close all of the files. Then you need to create a new project from a template, basically something blank. So just click Structural Template on the left as the basis for our new project. So it's going to basically create a project from the structural template. Now, to restore, click the Collaborate tab on your ribbon. Then right below that, click Restore Backup. It's going to ask you now, what do you want to restore, the user's file or the central file? Well, let's do the user's file. So simply select the Central File 1601 username backup. This is for the user's file. Click Open. What it then displays is a history of all the syncs. So you could use the last sync, the current one, or you could go back in time if you wanted to refer back to some other synchronization. Maybe they synchronized and added something that you didn't want. See, that's why you can choose one of those. Now, all you have to do is select the version you want, then click Save As. Revit will then ask you to name this new user file and then save it to whatever location you want. Then all you have to do is open it up and you're back to where you were before, being able to add things, change work sets, and sync back to the central file. For this example here, just click Cancel and then click Close. So as a review, in this lesson, we discussed work sharing history and how to restore from a backup. To view work sharing history, open your user file and then go to the Collaborate tab and click Show History. Then select either your user file or the central file to view the history. If comments were added, you would see the comments in the right column, and you can sort by clicking on one of the column headings. This will display the history for whenever this file was synchronized for whatever users. To restore from a backup, if your file becomes corrupt, let's say for the user's file or the central's file, first thing you need to do is close all of your Revit projects and then create a new project from a template. The new project is essentially blank. With the new project open, go to the Collaborate tab, click Restore Backup, and then choose the folder for what you're restoring, the user's file or the central file. And then you're presented with what sync set would you like to actually restore, meaning from the last sync or previous syncs. With that selected, give the new file a name and save it in a location, and now you can start using that user's file again, just as you did before.